Then many of his disciples who were listening said, "This saying is hard. Who can accept it?" Since Jesus knew that his disciples were murmuring about this, he said to them, "Does this shock you? What if you were to see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before? It is the Spirit that gives life, while the flesh is of no avail. The words I have spoken to you are life and spirit. But there are some of you who do not believe." Jesus knew from the beginning the ones who would not believe and the one who would betray him. And he said, "For this reason I have told you that no one can come to me unless it is granted him by my Father." As a result of this, many of his disciples returned to their former way of life and no longer accompanied him. Jesus then said to the 12, "Do you also want to leave?" Simon Peter answered him, "Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. We have come to believe and are convinced that you are the one, Holy One of God." Jesus answered them, "Did I not choose you 12? Yet, is not one of you a devil?" He was referring to Judas, son of Simon the Iscariot. It was he who would betray him, one of the 12. A challenge that Jesus offered to the disciples. A challenge to make a decision. As you know, as the Gospel of John presents to us, from the beginning of the public ministry, the preaching and the mighty works of Jesus sent shock waves into the crowds of the people. And the people were fascinated, and large crowds began to follow him. John chapter 2, verse 23. Large crowds followed him in Jerusalem during the feast of the Passover. In Samaria, John chapter 4, people flocked after him. In Galilee, John chapter 6, big groups came to follow him. Everywhere, large crowds. And now, there's a time of a decision. Jesus multiplied loaves and fed his followers. The next day, they came back. Of course, they came back because of their physical hunger. And Jesus very lovingly tried to explain to them that physical hunger would never satisfy them. Earthly bread would not be enough to quench their hunger, and promised them a spiritual bread, a bread that would fill their hearts, and told them very clearly that He who came down from heaven, He is the bread of life. Flesh, He said, is of no avail. In fact, He was telling them, do not follow me, only to satisfy your physical needs. In fact, you and I need to understand this. All human things are trivial if they exist for nothing beyond themselves. In fact, the human things are of no value if they have no spiritual purpose. It is the spiritual purpose that gives value to human things, physical things. Say, for example, food. Food is an earthly thing, is a physical thing. Food is good. Food is good in so far as it has a spiritual purpose. If I eat food just for the pleasure of it, I will become a glutton. It can do a lot of damage to my body, to my family, to my future. But if I take food to become healthy, so that I may do work for my family, well, that is a spiritual purpose. It will do a lot of good to me. And therefore, the good of food is the spiritual purpose. And the goodness of food is to be measured by the Spirit, the purpose of it.